Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Summer of Self-Love. How exciting is that? I'm Mia Saenz, your host, and in this episode, you get to meet Irina Shehovsov. It's a hard one to say, and she's a beautiful woman. Shehovsov.
Yeah, you got it.
Good, yay, beautiful. So you've been teaching self-love and having a better life and reclaiming it for several years now. Would you like to share with us a little bit about your work that you do? And then we're going to get into some self-love tools and breaking them down and all of that.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. And I think self-love is an important component that I believe we weren't taught when we were growing up.
Absolutely.
It was more about martyrdom and, killing yourself over, suffering in silence, never attending to our own needs when it's like so important. And I get to, rediscover that. And it's the little things that we do on a daily basis that contribute to our self-care routines and our self-love routines. Because what happens over time if we neglect ourselves, we have this accumulation of stress, of breakdown that happens, but it doesn't just happen overnight. It's our daily neglect of our regular needs that we need to take care of ourselves. It's not just physical means like exercising our body, but also mentally, emotionally. We have to address those triggers, address those things, and let ourselves go. I always kind of focus also on when we have negative emotions and how we dwell upon them and we carry them as if it is our pride possession. But have you ever tried holding onto a brick for like 5 minutes?
No.
A little bit tired. But what if you hold it for, I don't know, an hour? You feel more tired and your hands start to get numb. But what if you hold the same brick for a whole day? How would your body feel then? You're probably going to drop the brick. You're going to feel the tingling sensation in your arms, and you will feel so broken down and tired. But this was just one brick we were holding, but we have these emotions. There could be a situation that happened in a 5-second span, but we take that in and then we carry it through years, through decades, and we don't let it go. Like it is our prime possession. I think it is important.
Our prized possession. Wow. Sorry, I just have to say that because what you said is really beautiful and very well explained. But why carry it around as your prized possession? I've never heard anybody say that. And so that's really beautiful. Thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was just like, whoa.
Because I believe negative emotions, they are good. They act as an alarm mechanism to alert our system, our body, that something is not going right. It is not for us to take and then carry it for the rest of our life.
Yeah.
They're like little alerts, little alarms. Like, something is not right. Let me choose a different way. Of course, it's difficult in the moment. And if you are struggling, if you are in a depressive state, or if you're dealing with something difficult, it's difficult to point out those things that are happening. So some of the things that I believe are important when it comes to self-care: forgiveness, meditation, gratitude. And I learned from you when you were over on my podcast, having that amazing experience or tradition rather with your family, sitting down every night and writing down 3 things that you're grateful for, putting it into a jar. Because even in the midst of a disaster, even in the midst of a difficult situation, we always have things that are working. And sometimes we take those things for granted until they disappear. And I think it is important to recognize those things, because where your attention goes, energy flows. So once we start noticing things that are working in our life, suddenly we might notice how many more things are working that we weren't paying attention on. Because we always focus on the negative. We always focus on the worst thing that could happen. And it is from our primal, I call it, fight or flight response. And it is good to have. It's a response that causes us to stay being alive. Let's say if there is a car coming and we want to jump off, we don't want to jump under the car. So it's a good mechanism, but applying it in different scenarios, I think, is important. So creating those tools and practices on a daily basis, like forgiveness. It's not something huge. It could be something simple. Let's say you had a conversation with somebody and you were triggered. You were mistreated or somebody spoke something negative. And then you take that and you go to bed. Don't do that. Let it go in the end of the night. In the grand scheme of things, ask yourself, is it really worth it for you to be so upset about the situation? Let it go and let your new day start as new. Because every day is a gift.
It is. And so going back just a little bit, when you were talking about people don't listen to themselves, right? And they just keep moving forward. Let's talk about that, because that's really a primary thing. Basically, the first loop or step that we have to get through in order to recognize, oh, wow, there's other stuff really going on inside of me, and now I get to connect to it. So let's jump into, how would you work with somebody or talk somebody through that space so that they can actually learn to listen and be more fluent? You've said some of them, like meditation and stuff like that, but I'm your client, I'm here. How would you step me through, or how would you talk me through if I say, I just can't hear, I'm not, obviously I'm not listening, if somebody even realizes that, how do I get to listen to who I am?
I think one of the things, I don't remember where I heard it, but we cannot overrun our thoughts with our own thoughts. We gotta speak. So I would say, first of all, write on a list of paper the person that you are, your achievements, the things you have accomplished, the things you have been through, and how amazing and powerful you are. And have that piece of paper handy. So when you notice yourself saying or thinking those thoughts, we gotta speak over them with our voice, because thought cannot fight another thought. But when you have the spoken word, like your instant reminder, and place that piece of paper kind of like your cheat sheet for those times when you don't feel 100%, to remind yourself how amazing you are, and speak those words that are written on the paper instead of thinking the thoughts that are coming into your mind. There could be like a loop, and it's sometimes difficult to break off. You pick one thought and you keep on going. Another great technique is to have a rubber band on your hand. When you have a negative loop, snap yourself out of it. The more, I call it, the more you do it, the more you're gonna start getting into the idea of noticing. Because first thing I think is noticing, because if we live in this plane, in this frame of mind, we might not even notice, because this is our regular mode of operandi, and we can just going, because this is how we live. This is how, this is normal. Like, what's wrong with it? So it's kind of paying attention in your day-to-day things, slowing down, practicing also being present. I think when you get to be present in a situation, when you're in right here, right now, whether it's seeing a smile on someone else's face, on a child's face, or looking at the sunrise, and kind of pausing with your brain, like slowing down, because our life is so fast-paced. We have so many things that are going. And I don't know if you heard, attention span is now 3 seconds. You gotta get there, grab it. So it's important to slow down so you don't go crazy, you don't go insane, and have those pauses throughout your day. Maybe send yourself a message on your phone, a reminder 3 times a day. Whether it could be a single word or it could be a sentence. And when that reminder comes on your phone or wherever you are, stop whatever you're doing and focus on that one word and see what it means to you, whether it's love or patience or beauty. And just focus your attention just for a little bit, just for a minute, without having all those other thoughts. So practicing being present, I think, is an important thing to have as well, as part of your self-care. Mm-hmm. To keep your emotions in place, to keep your mental health in place. Connecting with nature is also another good one. Believe it or not, you kind of calm yourself down if you feel your emotions are raging and you feel angry or you feel triggered by something. Just go outside and look how beautiful the world is. Look at the trees, look at the sun, look at the flowers, and just breathe it in. Or if you're near an ocean, take yourself on that walk. Feel the sand beneath your feet and connect, ground yourself. So you feel that it kind of lets you experience so much better, so much more in tune, and it quiets those negative sensations and thoughts.
Beautiful. Let's talk, excuse me. Let's talk, it doesn't have to be real big. It could just be a one sentence, or it could be a big answer, whatever you like. So getting present with ourselves is important. We figured out that that's the number one step. But you said a few other things that I thought were really great that I jotted down. And so how does these words that I'm going to say reflect upon how can you get present by doing this? Okay.
Okay.
This is fun. So the first one I wrote down is forgiveness. How can you be present with yourself with the tool of forgiveness?
Sure.
Oh, no. You're the first person that's being interviewed, and so that's why I wasn't sure how I was going to run the format. Now I know, and that's why it's so funny to say go.
Sure. Forgiveness, I think it all goes back. You're not forgiving for others, you're forgiving for you. You don't even have to tell the abuser, the accuser, or the other person that you have forgiven them. You primarily doing it for yourself. And it could be as simple as closing your eyes and thinking of that situation that you were in. And always remembering that we, in our life, always operate from the point that we have the resources that we have available at the time, we operate to the best of our ability. So you don't have a time machine. You cannot go back in the past. You cannot have said something different or felt different. You were the person that you were. For you just to realize and to forgive that person, however she was or he was, just let it go. I know it could be difficult in the beginning, but over time, and I learned that practice by listening to 6-phase meditation from Vishen Lakiani. He actually has a little segment on forgiveness. And imagine this like little exercise when you're doing the forgiveness part. You're in a meditative state and call upon your, your counsel. You could call, I don't know, a cartoon character, somebody great, or maybe your grandma, or who is your figure of authority, or people who you trust, just in your imagination. And this is like your panel. And then you call that situation in and you kind of present it to that panel. And see how you feel, how your emotions, how are you feeling? Do you feel triggered anywhere in your body? Because our emotions are lodged in our body. Even though we could forgiven or did some work, but if still something remains, you could still feel it somewhere in your body. And present your case, like, when you have, like, let's say it's a case, like in a law firm that's, they present the case. So present your case. Why did you think that, you were upset, or why would you mistreated? And present it to this jury, the jury, and see how you felt, see what they say. I know it sounds like woo-woo right now, but it is all because you already have the answer inside of you. It's not hanging on that pole or from guru, somebody. You already have the answer. It's just a moment of you quieting down, quieting your thoughts and listening to your inner voice. So present that case. Forgive the person that you were. Forgive your perpetrator or whoever upset you. Forgive that person as well. You don't have to call them. You don't have to tell them. Just for yourself. And forgive the situation that you were in. That situation that didn't work out for one way or another. Let it go. And sometimes that process could take long. It could take a week for you daily to do that. It depends how deeply seated it is, how long you were holding on to it. Remember the brick analogy? So depending on the duration you were holding on to that negative sensation, that negative feeling, this is how much time it's gonna take for you to let it go. It could be reduced with a timeline therapy technique, by the way, that I do as well.
Great. Yeah.
But always think about the programming. How long did you hold on to that negative, heavy feeling? And now you need to undo that.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want to undo that? Why do you want to undo that? Because you want to live your life freely. You want to get off that baggage that you were holding on so that you have a clean slate. Because every day is a gift. And how many days do we have left here? We have this little tiny blip of time, and we think we have this eternity. But we only here having that experience in a human body. What do you want to create?
And also, wouldn't it be more lovely to look at the aging process even, right? So time as something we get to experience, something that can be beautiful rather than our bodies falling apart. I hate life. I'm so angry. You know, we know people that we interact with that speak like that. I know that it's not my favorite communication to be hearing it, but you know, obviously people need support. So, and some don't. Some can be our spouses or our best friends that are going through hard times. So remember to speak. You don't have to tell them this, you can, but remember to speak in that more enlightened space so that it stays around longer. There's something about joy and beauty that stays with us over the anger we've been taught to have it stay with us. But wouldn't you rather switch it to the lighter side? I know I would. Let's get into another one. So gratitude. How will gratitude bring you to your present moment, to the presence?
Yes, I think gratitude is important because you start recognizing how many things are working in your life. And you could start as early in the morning, as soon as your feet hit the floor. Say to yourself that it's going to be an awesome day. No matter how you're feeling, just speak that and listen to that. And another point of gratitude, as you start, let's say you'll say your general ones, I'm grateful for my home, I'm grateful for my health, I'm grateful for my family. Suddenly you're going to start thinking, what else, what else, what else, what else? And when you do that, you are in the present moment. You are here, you are now, you're not somewhere else. So connecting, and it will give you, you're going to be present because you are thinking and you're focusing your attention. And when things are not going well, because you recognize the things that are working, there are more things of that that's going to come into your life. Because we activate our reticular activating system, kind of putting on our antenna and like, what is important? And we start noticing that. Just like, have you tried getting a car recently? And you go to a dealership, you test drive the car, you leave, and suddenly you see the same car everywhere. And before you didn't see it because it was not important. But now you created the task for your mind. This is important. Focus on that. So when we say what the things we are grateful for, we are setting as like a frame of mind, a frame of reference, the things that are working. Our mind is going to go and find those things for us and present it to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. All right. So the next one is meditation.
Yes. I call meditation is like the inner shower of the mind. You know how we take a meditation, we shower every morning to stay fresh and clean? Well, we gotta shower, do some brainwashing in the morning as well. Wash your laundry, your dirty thoughts.
That's perfect.
And it allows you to
Dirty
be
thoughts.
present.
You're adorable. I love it. That's the best line I've ever heard. I love it.
I think it's important because you slow down. And the meditation could be different kind, by the way. It could be difficult to start, but it could be a walking meditation when you're just looking at the nature, enjoying the, you know, how the birds are singing, or the wind is blowing, or the sun is rising. Or it could be sitting on that cushion and may put on some meditation music, something peaceful and quiet, and really slow down, because when you are slowed down, you are not reacting to life. You are responding. You're able to assess the situation before you start reacting, before you start being aggressive, or if somebody says something snappy at you, instead of snapping them back, what if you could be a person in their life that injects a little bit of joy and kind of steps aside and thinks before speaking? So that's my take on meditation.
Yeah. You know, all of these are very powerful for everyday life, right? And when you said shower your dirty thoughts, I love that, because really the morning is about setting us up for our whole day, right? Not just, and doing something at night is powerful too, to clear out your day so that you can rest and rejuvenate and come back the next day. So while meditating your dirty thoughts away or your unbalanced thoughts, when you think about it, it's things that are not in your right alignment that you want to get back to. You want to get back to your calmest, happiest, less chaotic state of being, so you have more success. And let's be honest, you're in a higher vibration for the day, right? So it's really beautiful. I love that. Okay, so let's you have a free gift for everybody. The time goes super fast. You have a free gift for everybody. What is your free gift?
I would like to share a mini course on morning routine, how to have a best morning. And it's available on my website that I'm going to share a link with you.
Yeah.
And basically for people to start the day on a good note, practicing those things that we talked about: meditation, gratitude, forgiveness, getting yourself energized with that positive energy right from the start. Because I believe how you start your day does not matter when you wake up. You can wake up at 10 or you can wake up at 5. But how you start, I think, is more important.
It really is. That's really beautiful. I'm a very big proponent that if you don't have a morning routine, you're lost, literally. And so that's really lovely. If you want to share a little bit more about it so that people will definitely get it. So what is your mini? So you said it's about settling your day. Do you talk about your I was going to say your dirty meditation thoughts?
No, it's a mini course, so it's very short.
Beautiful.
But it gives kind of a follow through, like, why would you want to have a morning routine? What's important about it? And then it gives the strategy on how to implement it into your day. And I recommend to people, because my morning routine didn't just suddenly happen. It happened as a step. My journey started with me simply taking a walk. And that was my morning routine. I would take a walk and I would have a green smoothie. And that was my morning routine. And little by little, I added additional pieces. So what I recommend to people is not to jump in strong, but pick one habit that you want to implement and practice it for 1 week. Because it's in tiny moments how we can change our life. It's not in the drastic thing, but it's those micro things that we do every single day that allows us then to change. And habits, motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. So those tiny habits, the daily things that we do for ourselves, this is the person who we are becoming. And then one day you're going to wake up like, I need my morning routine. I'm not myself without it.
I love that.
But to get there, it takes time.
Yeah. So in essence, you're saying, which is absolutely true, we've all jumped into a morning routine. I'm going to do this. And then we're burnt out by the next day. And by the end of the week, we're like, that's it, I'm done. So one step at a time, something you enjoy. I started my morning routine, believe it or not, when I was 7 years old. My mother used to sit us at the end of the hallway, and the 4 kids, because we're metaphysical, the 4 kids had, well, the older ones did. I wasn't reading to anybody, but we had stuff we had to read, and then we had to pray and meditate. And this went on my entire life. And so as an adult, it was super easy to start a morning routine because I was still doing that part of what I like to do and then adding in other stuff. So it really is about one step at a time, isn't it? Because I know that I've tried like, oh, I'm going to do the magnificent weight loss, this or that, you know, and then by the next day I'm exhausted. It's like, that's way too much, you know? So yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. It was really beautiful. What else would you like to share with us before we say goodbye?
I can also offer timeline therapy. I think it's a great tool and should be taught in schools, of releasing negative emotions, releasing negative blocks that we often find ourselves in without delving into specific situation that had occurred. So if you compare this to psychology, in psychology, it's more about talk therapy, and you talk to people and this person did this and this is how I felt and this is what happened. And you could be going there for 10, 15 years and you're going to still be depressed. You're going to still be anxious. It's not going anywhere because you're not releasing the root cause of the problem. And with this type of therapy, we go to the structure, what happened. What were the thought patterns, the thinking that led us to create this particular situation? And how do we get rid of that? How do we release it? How do we look at our past and take a positive lesson from that past, as opposed to thinking, this happened and now I'm going to be miserable for the rest of my life? What if in every situation there was a positive lesson for us to learn, something take away, so that next time some situation occurs, we're going to make a different decision? I think it's very powerful, and I've experienced it on myself. And it's important to have, I believe.
So let me ask you about the timeline therapy, because I do that too. And also we do talk therapy besides all the work inside, because talk therapy for me is what's disrupting you in the moment. You know, it's different than being with you know, in traditional therapy. So what's bothering you in the moment? And then that is really connected to the, you know, it's all connected to the main course of what it is. So for me, timeline therapy is where you write out specifically a timeline of your trauma and you go in and you dig in. Is that what you're talking about?
It's a little bit different. I don't know if you heard of Gestalt Therapy. It's kind of getting down to the root cause of the problem. So let's say emotion of fear or anger, and going back, whether you believe in past lives, what was passed down to you genealogically, or if you believe that it was in previous reincarnations of the soul, and what happened. So we go there, we find that root cause, and I act as a guide.
Do you go in? My question then is, because I think people need to know, you know, because they might find this so fascinating. They're like, I want to work with her. So, but do they have a timeline of trauma that then you choose that one to go in and dig? Is that what you're, or that's what I'm just trying to find out. What you're...
Well, we assess a different emotion. For example, we go back in the past and I ask the unconscious mind if it's ready, first of all, to release that particular emotion, because the primary directive of our unconscious mind is to preserve and protect. And if you are not ready to release it, if it will cause you harm, this memory will not come up. So only if we are in conjunction, if your mind is ready to let it go, then we can go and release it. We do not, I call it, visit particular trauma points. We visit the original event. And then, yes, we travel through, but we don't need to delve into the details of the trauma. I don't need to know people's names or what happened. It kind of...
But the emotional state of being. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay, awesome. Wonderful. Thank you so much. This was really great. Isn't this a fun summer Get to Love Yourself program?
Totally.
Yeah.
I love that you created the series and invited me. Thank you.
You're welcome. And so everybody, in this series, the credits are at the end. They're also in your daily email. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you in another episode.
Thank you.